So it's been like 3 weeks. And every couple of weeks, I revisit the Geno Auriemma situation. And obviously, Geno Auriemma is one of the biggest people that were the most vocal critics about Caitlin Clark. One of the most vocal critics about Caitlin Clark. And he also is the coach of the UConn women's team. And again, one of the best college coaches ever. I think he's still a little bit pissed off that he didn't recruit Caitlin. And it is the best thing in the history of basketball. The best thing for the history of basketball is that, like, as great as a coach as he is, ironically enough, in 25 years' time, you could argue that his greatest contribution to the sport of women's basketball was not taking Caitlin Clark. And obviously, he has had some huge contributions. He's a freaking UConn coach. Half the players in the W played for him. But, like, he didn't get Clark, and Lisa Bluder allowed Caitlin to be Caitlin, and her allowing Caitlin to be Caitlin has created the greatest guard, who is, barring injuries, within 3 years, we're going to be saying she's the best guard in the history of the W. Like, it just is what it is. And this take ages worse and worse and worse and worse and worse every single time. And by the way, this take was the day after she dropped 30. She had her second 30-point game of the season. So you can't say like, oh, she was like really, really bad. It's like she had her second 30-point game of the season. I'm pretty sure like the day of this tweet, or as this had happened. Let's listen to what he says as usual, and we're gonna play this on 1.5 times speed because I'm not making you guys sit here through 5 minutes.
I saw where you said the WNBA, they're targeting Caitlin Clark. What do you mean by how she's being guarded or enforced?
I think you and I both know the landscape that we live in today, both sports-wise and non-sports-wise, right? We are in a red-blue.
And this is like, I actually can't stand this take because you basically start a sports take with, we know this is no longer about sports. No, like people making sports take people choose to make sports takes not about sports. That is on them. People making sports takes about sports. That is a them problem. That is not a problem with the sports. That is not a Caitlin Clark problem. That is not a women's basketball problem. That is a them problem. If you are making a sports take based on not sports, regardless of who it's for, regardless of who it's supporting, if a sports take is not based on sports, it is a you problem. Simply put. And obviously, look, I'm Irish. I'm coming from a position where I have no idea of the entire landscape of America. Like, as much as Americans want to think everybody knows what's going on in the world, I don't. I'm absolutely oblivious as to what's going on. Heck, to be honest, a lot of times I'm oblivious as to what's going on outside this exact room. And what's going on the basketball courts that I'm watching. So obviously I'm coming at it from a different perspective. But if you're making a sports take, in my opinion, based on not sports, then that's a you problem. So I don't like the way that he started off like that, because he's probably right in what he's saying. I don't know. Again, I don't know enough about the landscape of America to make a comment on that. But we are talking about sports.
If you're a college player and you're a great college player, like Caitlin was, the delusional fan base that follows her disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go in that league and tear it apart. There were actually odds on she's third or fourth in betting odds on being MVP.
3 months later and she's third. 3 months later and she's third. She's all WNBA first. He was like, it's disrespectful. She's third or fourth. She's third. She's third. Like, if you put money on her at the start of the year, her odds are greater of winning MVP now than they were at the time of this talk. Or say than they were, not even then, and they were before the season started, I'm pretty sure.
These people are so disrespectful and so unknowledgeable and so stupid that it gives women's basketball a bad name.
It gives women's basketball a bad name, saying arguably the second best player, arguably the best player in the world, is the best player in the world. Oh, this take has aged so badly. Like, it's aged worse. I think the last time I interacted with this was like 3 weeks ago. And I was like, this has aged so badly. And this is a generational, badly aged rant. And it's only been 3 months. And the funniest part is this ages worse every single week This ages worse, which is why I keep reacting to it, because it just keeps aging worse and worse.
Okay, so the kid was set up for failure right from the beginning.
Set up for failure. She's averaging 25 and 9 through her last 6 games or her last 7 games. I'm pretty sure she's averaged through her last 10. She's averaging 24 and 11 or something stupid like that through her last 10 games.
So if you're a WNBA player, and believe me, I've coached the best.
He's coached the best. Well, he hasn't coached. He hasn't coached the 22 in Indiana, and you know what? He hasn't coached that 22 out in Vegas either. He didn't coach Alyssa Thomas. He did coach Fee Collier. He did coach Breanna Stewart. Didn't coach Sabrina Ionescu. Didn't coach Satu Sabli. Didn't coach Erika Egumbawale. Didn't coach Dejanay Carrington. Didn't coach Brittany Griner. Didn't coach trying to think, Aaliyah Boston. Didn't coach Kelsey Mitchell. Didn't coach. I'm trying to think stuff off the top of my head. Who are the didn't coach Kat Copper. He says he coaches the best of the best. He coaches. There was a stage where the best of the best went to UConn. Now, an awful lot of them are going to South Carolina. And, you haven't won a national championship. And you've won no national championship since Stewie. Truth hurts, I guess.
But they were tremendously disrespected. And none of them were going to say it. But human nature is, okay, this kid's coming into the league. And Diana said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's printing. Diana Taurasi was right.
Diana Taurasi was right. I think she'll even say she was wrong. She was basically saying, we all know what she meant by what she said with the realities come. People are like, oh no, it took her a few games. No, she basically meant, and it was well, we saw this before. We saw this with Kelsey Plum. We saw this with Sabrina Ionescu. These players that were meant to take over, and they were good players. Struggled a bit as a rookie and are now some of the best guards in the league. We've seen this before. No, they haven't seen Caitlin Clark before. I think she realized after the first time she played Caitlin Clark, and she's just well, we can't do anything to stop this.
This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league.
On the wrong team. You know what? I would have made that argument at one stage. So I'll be the bigger man. I'll be the bigger man over Geno Auriemma. It looked like she was on a wrong team. It looked like the Indiana Fever was not the place for her. But I got to give credit where credit's due to Christy sides, to these players. I've been wrong about a lot of yous. But that's that is what comes with the game. That's what happens when you're talking about things that are happening as they happen. You do end up jumping to some conclusions where you can be wrong with. Everyone makes those mistakes, and I'll put my hand up and admit I've been wrong about quite a lot of these players. But Geno Auriemma, no, there's no accountability there. That's the thing. If you're gonna be on these shows talking about sports, when you're gonna be criticizing people, you have to be able to admit when you are wrong. Because if you are right more than 50%, if you are a person who is making takes, I know he's a coach, but if you are a person that is talking about sports, if you are making takes and you are right more than 50% of the time, then especially when it's a take like this, when it's a prediction, if you're right more than 50% of the time, you are one of the better takes people. And you're going to be wrong a lot, and that's the thing. That's just what comes with the nature of the business, but it is what it is.
She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league.
No, she just got shell-shocked for about 10 games. She's as strong as nearly any guard. Outside of, the only player I've seen bully her is Dejanay Carrington. She's posting up guards.
Statement. Targeted by society, targeted by her looks, targeted by her reputation, targeted by the disrespect that they've shown to the WNBA. There's a huge target on this kid's back. I thought Cameron Brink said something really smart. She said, no, they're expecting this rookie class to be perfect. This rookie class isn't even one of the best rookie classes in the last 10 years. But they've been put out to be that.
Outside of 2019, this is the best rookie class since the super, super class of 2013. And it might be better. There is a non-zero chance that this rookie class has the greatest shot blocker of all time, the greatest rebounder of all time, and the greatest passer of all time. And one of the top 15 scorers of all time, Rickea Jackson. And we're just talking about 4 players. We're not talking about JC Sheldon, who's a hooper in her own right. We're not talking about, what's her name? Layla Lacan, who I think is a freaking beast. We're not talking about Aaliyah Edwards. When I say freaking beast, I think Layla Lacan's insanely good. We're talking about Aaliyah Edwards, and I haven't even mentioned Camila Cardoso. This is an elite rookie class.
Because the way social media is today. So what kind of impact is this rookie class having in the WNBA?
How do you think Clark is handling this?
I think she's handling great. I think she talks a lot of and she gets a lot of back. So she deserves everything she gets because she gives it as good as she gets. She's just not built for the physicality of this league.
Yeah,
And she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality.
She's not quick enough to get away. She's one of the quickest players in the damn league. And by one of, I'm not saying like there are quicker players. Like Kelsey, she's not even the quickest on her team, but like, come on. Out of true point guards in this league, who is quicker than her? JC Sheldon, no. Jordan Canada, maybe. Kennedy Carter, Lindsay Allen, yes. Lindsay Allen is quicker than Caitlin Clark. Chelsea Gray can barely walk right now. Like, no, just no.
So there's a lot of learning curve, like Diana said. And when she gets it, she has elite skills that are going to really help her.
yeah.
But she needs to be on a better. She needs to be on a better team, and she needs to be more experienced, and that will come. But for these ridiculous fans who had her slotted as the next Diana, now
You can argue prime for prime, and I actually am saying, like, if you want to argue over this 10-game stretch, you could argue that she has played a 10-game stretch comparable to any 10-game stretch Diana Taurasi has played in her rookie year. And I'm not saying better. I'm just saying that there is an argument, and it is a comparable 10-game stretch.
they're out of their mind. And for these people that are waiting outside the bus,
This was one person with a like we saw the clip. That was one person with a camera going, "Kennedy, why did you hit Caitlin?" Or with their phone. Like, that was the most blown out of proportion thing ever. Still not right, but blown out of proportion.
for the Chicago Sky team,
Yeah.
what the hell? What do we become? A third world soccer country?
That's a bit. Now that's a bit like. That's not a good thing to say, Geno or Emma. I'll go back on that. That is not a good thing to say. Jesus. And then it's talking about Paige. But like, man, this is one of the worst aging takes from a coach who's almost being aged out of basketball. Which is probably a bit of a shock to the system. Like, because they are, UConn has been historically the best as far as women's basketball is concerned. And I do hope they pick it up in the next few years, mainly because Gandhi Mamel, an Irish player, is going to UConn not next year, the year after. And I do want to see an Irish player in the WNBA. So I really do hope UConn are doing really well, and Gandhi can play well, and we can see an Irish player in the W. But come on now. That's all I can say. This is a take that keeps aging worse and worse and worse and worse and worse every single time we hear it.